Welcome to another Donger deck discussion from my good self, Sith Holocron. And I'm going to make and show you a deck that has got a card that hasn't actually really been used yet because everyone's really gone for the whole um, Aesol, Diana, Leona, Targon thing, Lulu, all this sort of stuff. But one card has actually really intrigued me, and I haven't been able to think of a good deck to put it into until now. So today's Donger Decks discussion is all about the man who built a house, and he's pretty good. This guy, he is pretty good. So let me show you Jack's house, and our main concern is to try and get this guy, who genuinely looks like he's a Bond villain, to be good. So he's a 5 cost 5/6, so he is a big beefy unit. And at the start of each round, you create a fleeting Sleep with the Fishes spell in hand, which costs absolutely nothing. Uh, this does two to an ally to deal two to the enemy nexus. Now, it's slow, it can be stopped, it'll disappear because it's fleeting, but there's not really been a deck that's got him in it yet. So I decided lots of cheap units, lots of leveling up things, lots of people who want to do damage to Nexus. Okay, let's reinvent Gangplank Misfortune, but we'll keep an awful lot of it the same. Jagged Butcher is fantastic. He will normally always come out as a 3/3 if you can do something kind of cool and groovy. And yes, he's a 1 cost, but you know, on one, he's not going to come out very often. So you don't really want Jagged Butcher in your opening hand. And I would suggest you start playing this deck on evens from round two. Um, Even if you're attacking on odds, that's fine. It's probably better to let them start and then attack on evens, which is a far better thing anyway. But once you're past round one, you're all good to go. We're running one parlay, so if it deals one to anything, if this kills it, deal one to the enemy nexus. So there's some chip damage into the nexus. And then we're running the old Imperial Demolitionist, deal one to an ally to deal two to the nexus. We're also running Crimson Disciple, both as threes of them. Most of the things in this deck are threes. It still does 3 damage to the Nexus. That is a really good thing to do. And then, as in are a lawful lot of Bilgewater decks, especially when you are playing Gangplank, who needs to hit the Nexus in 5 different rounds. You get the Powder Keg. Powder Keg, obviously, all your spells and skills deal 1 extra damage, which is pretty decent. And then we need lots of little, small, horrible, tiny little units. And the House Spider fulfills that perfectly. You get the 2/2 and the 1/1 Spiderling, and you're looking kind of good. Though I always think the Spiderling looks an awful lot more mean than his elder brother. But maybe he's just showing his age. Who knows? We're also got 3 Legion Grenadiers. And this is predominantly in there as a 3 of, because not only does it deal 1 damage to the enemy nexus, which again helps our level up condition, we are dealing with anything fearsome. This is the only thing that you're looking at. So when, at the start of the game, you move your mouse over and you have a look at what deck that you're playing. If you're playing against anything fearsome, so pretty much anything not Targon, for instance, this is going to be a real fun deck to sort of play. And this is the only thing that you can actually stop it with. And there are things that are like 1 and 2 fearsome, like the fearsome spider and all that sort of stuff. And you know, he'll be able to kill it and get it off the board, and another chip away at the Nexus, which is pretty decent. Make It Rain, the absolutely brilliant Make It Rain. Deal 1 3 times amongst different randomly targeted enemies and the Nexus. All decent. Death's Hand, deal 2 to an enemy and 1 to the Nexus. So as you can see, our synergy is if we're dealing damage, we would like to actually deal damage to the Nexus as well. And, you know, this deals damage immediately. You do 2 to the Nexus. That, if you put it on her, that's 3. If you put it onto that, it's still 2. So we're building up and building up. So Gangplank will always level, to be completely honest. It will always level. And then we have the wonderful Misfortune. And Misfortune is just great crack. Like, she is just great crack. You will attack 4 times with Misfortune if you get her down early. And yes, she will be thermal beamed or death handed or, you know, fervored or something. Grasped, just, but if you can keep her alive, it's brilliant because it's doing, again, more damage, because Gangplank is really your main win condition, but Misfortune is there as an early hello. As if we don't want more, deal 2 to me and someone's a Powder Monkey. The Powder Monkey, then, if you don't know what the Powder Monkey does, he deals 1 to the enemy Nexus. So we're consistently chipping it away. And I've played this a couple of times, and after about 5 rounds, they're down to about 7 or 8 from all of this nonsense, which kind of means when you kind of drop down Gangplank, you're doing really well. Noxian Fervor, deal 3 to anything. In my suggestion, if you have a keg, deal 4 to, say, the House Spider, to do 4 to the Nexus is absolutely fantastic. Gangplank, when he's summoned, you get a powder keg, and if you've damaged the enemy Nexus in 5 different rounds, you level up, and then all of a sudden the Overwhelm is a 6/6 and deal 1 to all enemies and the enemy Nexus, which combined with Misfortune could be absolutely busted. But Jack the Winner, to be able to do this, again, deal 2 to an ally, to deal 2 to the enemy Nexus, it's just all little cheap tricks to kind of get you in. You know, this deck doesn't need any ships. It doesn't need anything ridiculous. Everything in this deck, apart from 1 card, costs 5 or less. Jack the Winner and Gangplank are both the 5s, and everything under the 5s all costs 3 or less. So it's almost like an aggro deck, because I suppose it really is. But not only is it doing aggro in the burn sense, it's also doing direct damage to the Nexus, which is, I haven't seen one that's this powerful since Darrowing, and I genuinely think with him you can even sleep with the fishes to put him down to a 5/4, do it again in the next round, and you know you are getting 4 more damage. You've got this to help out, you've got the idol to help out, and then, as if that isn't enough, we're running 1 Captain Pharaon that gives you 3 Decimates in hand that are slow spells that do 4 direct damage, and he is an 8/8 with Overwhelm as well. To be fair, if you get Pharaon out, the game is completely over. Even against an Aurelian Soul deck, it can't keep up with what you are throwing out. So this is Jack's house. Jack's aggro house of pain and misery. But it's a good deck. You know, and if you look at all the symbiosis in between here, you know, you are going to plunder a lot. Jagged Butcher should always come out as a 3/3. Now you can see why, even if you get him in the first turn, you don't play him, because things like, you know, survive damage, deal 1, drop the Butcher. This, if it does something, it brings the counter keg up and does something, that's brilliant. Demolitionist, drop that, then drop the Butcher. You know, that dies, drop a Butcher, Make It Rain, Death's Hand, a Misfortune, you know, 1 attack and that, drop. There's so many things that the Jagged Butcher comes into. And no, we are not going to be running Plunder. We are not going to be taking our 4 cost, is it a 4 cost or a 3 cost? It's not a 3 cost, isn't it? The Pilfered Goods. We're not running that at all. This is not a plunder deck. I wanted to do something completely different, and the only plunder effects I want now are just burn plunder effects. So if we can get something kind of really cool and groovy going, which this, I mean, is not as powerful as what it was, but aggro is still about, and aggro into these really slow decks is winning an awful lot more than even I thought, and I like aggro decks. So I'm going to be taking this out for a spin in ranked today and see what it's like. I've only played it in normal, and I'm winning about 2 out of 3 games, and then being blown out of the water by something else. But it is fun to play. It's easy to play. This does not take an awful lot of forward thinking to make this actually just a good deck. So the only things, as I say, that are not 3-sov are Noxian Fervor, Captain Pharaon, and Parlay. In an ideal world, you would want a Crimson Disciple, an Imperial Demolitionist, a Jagged Butcher, and maybe a Misfortune or a Monkey Idol, just so things are going in there. Outside of that, Make It Rain is always good. House Spiders, just to kind of keep it up, or a Legion Grenadier. So anything 3s or less, every single thing in here is decent. The Parlay is just there to try and do something to a 1 health thing. This could actually be replaced with a 0-cost warning shot, but I like the fact that you can maybe take a unit off, especially for instance as elusives are starting to come back in again. That's why we're running the parlay. So that is your mulligans. The deck code will be clipped right now, and I will put that in the pinned comments. Come and join us at the Dongers of Runeterra. We do love talking and playing about this game. I'm Sith Holocron. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Makes all the difference in the world to us. And until the next time, Dongers out.